All right, as for this morning we're going to be playing some blue-white control in Legacy. We've got, this is like a combo control deck of sorts, so Jackie, thanks for the 4 months. I appreciate the third of the year. Welcome back. This is, I have some swords to give out here too. Pala hit 12 months and needs a sword. And Rivera is lacking a sword with their shield. Hey, Team Darkwater, thanks for shipping your Prime this way again. I appreciate it. Welcome back. So this is a combo control style deck. We have so there's a couple of kind of combos in this deck. The first is that Rest in Peace combos. The couple of things we're doing: Rest in Peace plus Energy Field. If both of these stay in play, you just don't take damage. And then Rest in Peace along with Helm of Obedience. The way this card is worded, if you activate Helm of Obedience for at least one while you have a Rest in Peace in play, you mill your opponent out. We also have Humility plus Jace Architect of Thought is a soft combo. This makes all creatures 1/1s, and then plussing Jace means creatures attack for 1 less. And then this deck's just playing all the good blue cards that Legacy has to offer. The Force of Will, Ponder, Brainstorm. I mentioned these 3 cards are kind of the glue that holds the majority of these blue decks in Legacy together. We also have some other random controlling elements like Counterspell and Spell Pierce, Swords of Plowshares, some Supreme Verdicts, so few different ways to keep the board in check. Generally speaking, you get to keep a lot of hands in Legacy, but unfortunately this is not one of them. So we only have 1 land, and we don't have a Brainstorm, we don't have a Ponder, so nothing to do with this one. Need more Pod Mom in Modern. I'm addicted. And back to your regularly scheduled weird tier 3 sub. Please inject your Modern queue with your preferred Fairy Pod Mama deck. We'll do tracks. Thank you for the very generous tier 3 resub. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. So pretty easy mulligan here. That's a yikes. One of the things I was looking at when I was looking at this deck list is how many lands are in it. We've got 22 lands. I guess there's 18 blue sources. Four basic planes, a lot of basic planes this hand is showing. And I actually left 1 mismatch plane just so I could see like how often, if this had been a blue source, hands would have been keepable. And like this hand's probably keepable if this is a blue source, right? This hand is also rancid because we have that 1 mismatched planes again that should be a blue source. And I guess I'm keeping a land on top. So not super excited about this keep, but it's definitely a keep at 5. Howdy Mazer, howdy Zanman. Seth had asked how many clicks we ended up on in the Bant deck. I was looking at, I'm probably going to try 3 next time. So this card stops all cards that cost 1 mana from being cast. So we need to stop that because that shuts off a majority of our deck. Correct. With the London Mulligan, you wouldn't get a scry. You would simply get to look at 7 and then put some back. Yeah, 3 in the main. I posted a deck list in the subs Discord, Seth. I believe you responded to the post where I posted it. Just gonna go ahead and move along here. We started low and don't have any other action, and I don't have a main deck way to get rid of this, so. I'm gonna bring in this Council's Judgment. I think Supreme Verdict's actually probably pretty good here. Spell Pierce seems a little bit mediocre. I don't mind trimming on my 1 mana things in a matchup like this. I wonder if Gideon of the Trials is actually good here, because the opponent's deck often doesn't have that many, threats in it, so Gideon shutting down one of the threats seems potentially very good. Magar, thank you for the very generous tier 2 resub, and Dealer's Choice is always fantastic. I appreciate the 11 months. Welcome back. Yeah, Disenchant for Chalice sounds like a great idea. It also randomly kills Mox Diamond. I'm gonna go ahead and trim a Ponder. Just like cutting down on some of my 1-drop seems ideal in a matchup like this. Seems fine. I don't think I have room to fit this in. I think I'd rather keep everything else I have going on here. Maybe I don't quite need the energy fields. Is this better than that? Probably not. For people who are newer to Legacy, the opponent's deck is 4-color loam. So they play things like Dark Confidant, Knight of the Reliquary, Mox Diamond, Chalice of the Void, Liliana the Veil. Our copies of Rest in Peace will tend to be very good in a matchup like this. This hand's not amazing, but I think it's definitely a keep. I'm going to lead on the basic island, so that way if they cast a Chalice of the Void for one-on-one, I can Brainstorm in response. Dark Confidant is Bob. Bob is Dark Confidant, vice versa, yes. I'm going to lead on the Scalding Tarn here, rather than the Arid Mesa, because I want to prioritize fetching basics, because my opponent's a Wasteland Life from the Loam deck. Legacy is all the sets that have ever been printed, along with a ban list. So every set that's ever been printed, excluding silver bordered sets, so all black and white bordered sets, are Legacy legal with a ban list. Alright. Sculptor of the Mines. Opponent just cycling away here. I hope they print these lands into Modern. Not because I think they'll be good, but because I would kind of like to play with them. I also think that I'm gonna Brainstorm in response to this, because if I hit a Counterspell, I'd kind of like to cast it. That's a force. Is it worth forcing? Is it worth forcing Sylvan Library? I think it is, actually. I want this Rest in Peace as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put Jace the Mind Sculpt, or I'm gonna put Swords to Plowshares Humility back, I think, and then we'll force Pitch Verdict, and then we'll have Jace plus Humility set up for later. I can shuffle these away. Would I rather have Swords left over or Humility left over? I think I'd rather have Humility left over, and I definitely want the land of the Rest in Peace. So I'm going to throw these two back, and then we're going to shuffle those away with our fetch lands here. So I'm going to go ahead and force this, pitching the Supreme Verdict. Sylvan Library is a card where it lets them draw 2 extra cards each turn, and then they can either pay for life or put the cards back. And because our deck's not pressuring the opponent's health total, the Sylvan Library basically reads that they're going to get to draw a bunch of extra cards here, because their life total is mostly irrelevant. Yeah, I agree, Mazer Mouse. Like I said, I'm not expecting Modern Horizons to really change a lot of what goes on in Modern, but I do think there's hopefully room to, like, add some more fringe archetypes with things like this. Austin, where does MTG, Twitch streamer, and programmer Jeff Hoagland keep his 9-month sub babies? In the underground C section. My computers don't have a C drive. They have a root directory. Thanks for the 3/4 of a year, Austin. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. So I'm going to go ahead and plus Jace to start here. And I'm actually going to go ahead and bottom the Savannah here, because they currently don't have white mana, and maybe we can keep them off of white mana for a little bit longer. I've seen a lot of the iterations of the opponent's archetype that have, let's say, two trophy and 2 abrupt decay. Now, trophy here is a reason for me to have prioritized brainstorming to start with Jace as opposed to Fate Sealing. But it does look like I've kept my opponent off of their ability to draw white source. So I'm just going to go ahead and cast this Rest in Peace here. Yeah, I agree, Isha. I think it's really weird that they started spoiling cards. Like, they announced the set and spoiled a couple cards from it, and they're like, all right, and now we're going to take a break, do a standard set, and, like, we'll come back and, like, actually spoil this later. Seems like weird timing on their part. I I just want to put both these out. I prioritized getting the Rest in Peace down before the Humility, even though it was less resource efficient, because I wanted to cut them off with the ability to draw life from the loam and pick their cycle lands back up, because they had 2 of those in their bin. Golgari Charm, sure. I think I'm okay just letting that resolve. Like, this is just an Eternal 2/2, and like their next creature I'm gonna get to Counterspell or Force of Will. Maybe I'm supposed to fight over that a little bit harder. Like, I have another Humility, I have Energy Field, like I have a lot of things that like make me get to ignore their creatures basically. And their deck has a little bit of reach in the form of Punishing Fire, but there's probably a good chance they don't have a ton of those in their deck. I'm gonna hold this extra land in my hand here, because if we draw a copy of Brainstorm or Jace the Mind Sculptor, I can shuffle it away. Oh, you know, this is actually a reason to have played the land out, though. So, if they give me 2 things I need to counterspell here, I wish I played the land out. So maybe I'm supposed to do this. Yeah, like if they play, they play Dark Confidant here. Okay, so maybe not playing the land was wrong because of the double spell. Can it to win it. Thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that was actually a pretty big mistake. We could be en route to death here. Yep. There's an Abrupt Decay that's going to kill this Rest in Peace. I'm just letting Chalice resolve because I have Disenchant for that. Really hoping to draw another copy of Humility or a copy of Energy Field. Ooh, they're not attacking with Bob because they want to play around Clique and Snapcaster Mage. It's good for us. I'm just going to go ahead and Disenchant this now. Just use my mana. Really looking for some of our cantrip effects here. Brainstorm, Ponder, etc. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Teferi. Sure. Hey, thanks for the quarter of a year. Welcome back. All right, dig. Jace, Architect of Thought, Counterspell, another Rest in Peace. I think I any order shuffle these. It feels bad, but well, I mean, like, it's kind of like it doesn't beat the board, right? Is the issue? I need like verdicts or plows or humilities or something along those lines to like beat the board. Like, it feels bad to shuffle and draw a land instead of a spell, but like I feel like I have a bunch of like high impact spells in my deck. It's a Knight or Liliana the Veil here. Next turn, you could tuck Bob and bounce Scoos. No. That was a Jace Architect of Thought for 1, and 2, they're about to attack this for 4, so this isn't tucking anything, Sunhouse. Death Touch Haste. When it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent is the Monarch, create a... Wow, that's cute. Let's counterspell that one. Get that one right out of here. That card's really sweet. She allows them a source of card advantage, and then there's a haste creature as well. It's kind of awesome. Yep. I mean, you flood and die in every format. It's not things that transcend Magic formats. Flooding and dying. And like I said, this all kind of snowballed a bit because I have gotten incredibly unlucky at the end here, but I did make a mistake earlier in this match. I did elect to not play my 7th land out, which then meant that I couldn't force plus counterspell in the same turn, which gave them the opportunity to stick this Dark Confidant, which has ultimately allowed them to snowball this game. So I think if I would have played my 7th land, I probably would have been okay in this game in spite of getting incredibly unlucky and bricking on spells. Demox, thanks for the 13 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. And Magic, it's very easy to like focus on the fact that I got unlucky and like try and forget the fact that like I messed up at one point this game. So I really need to like brainstorm into multiple spells at this point. Well, that's the start. All right, that means if I draw a Supreme Verdict, we could have a chance. Because Humility is no longer going to do it because my opponent's probably going to turn this into a 3-3 and then put me to 2. Oh, and then I'm just going to be dead to Punishing Fire, right? They're going to make this a 3-3 and then I'm dead to Fire? Okay. Yeah, I would be surprised if this matchup's bad for us overall. We definitely got, like I said, I made a mistake and then we got pretty unfortunate after the mistake to not have a chance to make up for it. Like if we'd have seen a Brainstorm or like any amount of spells, we probably would have been okay there. Again, I think it was right to shuffle a triple spell Ponder that weren't spells that were very impactful. Maybe you could make an argument that I'm supposed to keep there. Definitely would have dunked them though if I would have had mana up to counterspell the Dark Confidant. They did not have very many resources that game, even with the Bob, and if they would have only been drawing 1 card per turn, they'd have been very far behind, even with me flooding. The Teferi would have stayed on the table for a lot longer, and he probably would have powered us through the flood. I mean, it doesn't really dig me deeper, Team Water, because like I have to keep a bunch of other cards that don't do anything, and Jace Architect, when he down ticks, he only goes to 2. So like he gains me exactly 1 hit, and it requires me to keep 2 other cards up there with it, so I only see 1 more card. So I'd rather just not spend mana and see more cards the other way. Like, obviously, knowing I'm going to draw 4 lands in my next 5 cards, I would want to keep the 3 spells, but, like, I can't know 4 of my next 5 draws are going to be lands. This game just doesn't do anything, right? Man, Magic really sucks sometimes. The Bus Driver, thanks for the Prime support. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. This is why I should just keep loose 7s. I feel like this is always the outcome, right? Just like Mulligan, close 7, get super unkeepable 6. I'm gonna keep and scry into some lands. Ding, ding, ding. Step 1 accomplished. That was a back to basics that I played at the end of the last league. Rest in Peace Energy Field is pretty reasonable against Death Indexes. They have a Flooded Strand in their deck. Weird. Who forced this on our champion? I don't remember. This one's been a few of the legacy decks have been waiting a while. I actually don't think this deck is bad. Like, it's playing all the good legacy cards. It's got, like, main deck hate cards like Rest in Peace and other reasonable things. I have been Spellquellered. I mean, to be fair, this is probably worse than Miracles. Land. Ding, ding, ding. Would like to swords this one. Yeah, this is the 01 bracket. All right. Things I don't do anymore. Take damage. It is worth noting that Energy Field Rip is not a combo with Jace the Mind Sculptor and other Planeswalkers, because these don't prevent my Planeswalkers from dying. We have Energy Field and Rest in Peace in play, so this card says you don't take damage from sources you don't control, but when a card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, you sacrifice this, and then Rest in Peace prevents things from being put into our graveyard. And apparently, my opponent's deck does not have main deck ways to interact with enchantments, so they have conceded. So like I said, we are playing a combo deck of sorts, as demonstrated by putting our 2 cards into play and our opponent conceding. This does not seem like a back to basics matchup. This probably is not a Spell Pierce matchup. Yeah, this is an old combo in Legacy. Theros is like pretty old at this point. Old-ish. Old adjacent. We have 2 Helms in our deck, Scooter. Like I said, I think this deck's fine. I think we both got unlucky and made a mistake in the first match that we lost. It's a Vendilion Clique matchup. Clique trades with Spellqueller, but I probably would just rather have Supreme Verdicts and Sweepers. Yeah, I'm just gonna click this a bit. Yeah, there's a lot of Moto exclusive art. Return to Rav, you're right, it's totally not Theros, it's RTR, which is older than Theros, right? Here's Mummy. This hand might be a little greedy against a Taxus-style deck. Hopefully we draw some lands. Perfect. So I'm going to stack this so we draw the Force of Will now and then draw Flooded Strand next turn so we can force something here. Because if they play Thalia, I want to force them. I would like to force their Wasteland, but that's not a legal play. The strategic reason is right here in my hand, chat. So, Architect of Thought plus Humility soft locks them out of the game as well. So we're going to crack this fetch land before we draw the top card of our deck, because we know the top card of our deck is not a land. Need to force this because I want to be able to cast a cantrip if I draw it. Fetch land, please. Yay, Magic! Yay, incredibly low variance Wasteland card! Yay! Whenever people say they want Wasteland printed into Modern, I'm just like, do you understand how many non-games of Magic this card produces? Do you understand how many non-games of Magic this card produces? I like a lot of what goes on in Legacy, but Wasteland is an incredibly high variance card that makes for very, very bad games of Magic. And I get it. I'll probably remove some amount of neck-bearded Legacy mouth-breathing comments from this video of people going, but Jeff, you kept a one-lander with a cantrip. You should have played around Wasteland. But Jeff, and yeah, whatever. Like I drew 2 lands that game. Are you doing 2 Moto Leagues with the arena maintenance? If this one's really fast, maybe. We're definitely shuffling these. I need some white sources. The arena maintenance is supposed to be done. The arena maintenance is supposed to be done in 30 minutes. Field of Ruin? What? What? It's the same person I just played. Oh, this is game 3, right? This is game 3. Of course it's the same person I just played. This is game 3. Don't ask me where I went. Yeah, best of one on the mind. White source. Magic. Incredibly low variance game. So one of the esports sites has betting up for the Mythic Invitational, and you could tell that they know this game has a lot of variance too, because like there is not that big of a payout difference between like players who have a lot of experience and players who have much less experience in the Invitational. At least the top of our deck was good here. I'd like to vote for this one. So, Council's Judgment is weird, where it uses this silly voting mechanic. So, they can't actually protect Spellqueller with Mother of Runes to give it protection from a color, which is interesting. So, if they can't take this Rest in Peace off the table, and they can't counter my Helm of Obedience next turn, I do get to mill them out next turn. But this is post board, so I feel like there's a chance that they have like disenchants or council judgments of their own or something like that. They should. I'd be very surprised if they can't interact with enchantments post board. Oh. Yeah, Council's Judgment notably is a critical card to this format because it kills the card True Name Nemesis, or exiles the card True Name Nemesis, even though it has protection from all the things. Alright. Are you dead yet? Not yet, eh? Maybe I'm supposed to lead on Energy Field there to bait. It's very possible that Energy Field there could and should be a bait. Again, the Planeswalkers looking incredibly awkward alongside of The energy field combo. The fair matchups are Court of Calling matchups. The unfair matchups where you need to go fast are Eldritch Evolution matchups. Alright, well, this theoretically buys me a turn or two. Thoughts on the duo standard format being employed at the Invitational? It looks like on the surface it's gonna provide the players with less agency than playing traditional standard with sideboards. So my opponent is now the Monarch, which means they draw 2 cards a turn. Alright. Alright. So the problem here is if I brainstorm, the energy field dies. If I blink, the energy field dies. If they have a counterspell here, my energy field dies and then I die. That worked out better than expected. Oh, they didn't attack with the germ. That's really good for me. How do we feel about just digging for a rip here? Is it crazy to just dig for a rip? I feel like I'm just supposed to try and punk them at this point. Oh, I could lock the germ with Gideon. That's actually really true. Maybe I'm supposed to do that. Obviously, it's too late now. Alright, I'm just going to give up the energy field. We found another energy field. Alright. This is Jace, Architect of Thought. Oh yeah, that's true. They could just move the Batterskull. Yeah, I am supposed to downtick here. So I lost the energy field for the time being. So I'm gonna crack this fetch land and brainstorm again here. If I find a copy of Rest in Peace, they die. Or they mill out. I mean, it is just not our morning. Chewy, questions like that are stupid. To be blunt. Big high stakes tournaments like that don't just pop up out of nowhere. And I'm a responsible adult who, like, if I have a tournament coming up that I know that I care about, I practice and prepare. So right now, I have no idea what decks I would play. In the future, maybe. Oh, they don't realize Energy Field doesn't protect Jace. They don't realize Energy Field doesn't protect Jace. I think that's what's happening. We win with Helm of Obedience plus Rest in Peace. So Helm of Obedience combined with Rest in Peace mills my opponent out. Do I want to throw away this Energy Field again? I almost feel like I do. I feel like I just like need to try, like, there's what? There's 3 rips in my deck at this point. So I've got 3 rips and 32 cards. What's the Hyper Geo say on 3 looks at 3 rips? There's 32 cards. There's 3 rips. I'm going to draw 3. I want 1 rip in there. So we're 26% chance to hit a rip and win the game. I still have Ponders and other Brainstorms in there too, though, right? So there's 2 Ponders and 1 more Brainstorm. So if I increase the number of hits to, if I consider more cantrips a success, like I get up to 6 successes, I am 48% to hit a rip or a cantrip in 3 looks. I feel like I'm supposed to do that because at some point they might actually read my magic cards, and that would be bad for me. Ding, ding, ding. Oh no! Oh no! I don't get my helm back, do I? I don't get my helm back because of... I don't get the helm back because of, So, for those who don't understand why I'm laughing, humility makes all creatures 1/1s that lose all abilities. So this doesn't have the ability to give me my spell back when it dies. So if I plow this, I don't get my thing back. Because this card is templated differently than things like the Deputy of Detention or Hostage Shaker or stuff like that. So yeah, so like I plow this, I don't actually get my spell back. As demonstrated. The Moto bug is the out. Yeah, exactly. Moto says. Yeah, today is the cosmetics / bug random bug fixes updates for Arena today. It's supposed to be live to download in about 20 minutes, so we'll get it going then. A couple of people said they were updating already, but trying to rush to update in the past has caused issues, so I'm just going to wait until the posted time. Until the status page says they're ready to go. For people who aren't familiar, this page shows you when scheduled maintenance is going on and like what's happening, or if there's any unscheduled issues too, they also get posted there. He said MTGO is highly complex, but aesthetically super unpleasing software. Yeah, I mean that's part of it. Another part of MTGO's, a lot of MTGO's issues don't stem from the actual implementation of Magic the Gathering within it. A lot of MTGO's issues have to do with rigidness to be technically correct within the context of the Magic the Gathering rules at the cost of being user unintuitive or not user friendly, depending on how you want to phrase it. There's also the economy in the application is very unappealing, as Artifact recently showed the world. No one gets real testing time for said event. I think it's just it's just like a waste of effort question, Chewy. Just like there's nothing useful to come of it. Artifact, what's that? Helm of Obedience is a good example of an artifact. Only this artifact didn't have its player base drop off the face of a cliff. Too soon? Maybe it's too soon. MTGO is being driven 40% by sunk cost fallacy. That's probably a big part of it. Another part of it is, like, there's a big portion of people, like, genuinely want to play non-rotating formats, right? Like, I like Modern. I like parts of Modern, I guess I should say. I don't know what we're playing against. I think I keep Counterspell in the dark. I think I keep Counterspell and draw Brainstorm for next turn. Can I still type in their box up here? Oh, look at that. You totally can still type in the text box. So if I don't know if you can see it, the text is kind of small, but you can see the things I'm typing in my keyboard, allowing me to type in my opponent's timer in the upper right-hand corner. Lol moto. LOL MTGO. Soon that sword will be mine. What's going on, Backnote? Thanks for the 10 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. How much democracy would it cost to get cute MTG stats working again? I don't know offhand. I don't know exactly what's wrong with it. It's probably not that hard. I'll make a note and peek at it this weekend. If I recall correctly, the last time it broke, they just changed some of the formatting on the site, and I just had to push a couple of things around. That's probably all that has to be done again. For people who aren't programmers, the reason why being able to type in your opponent's box there is such an offensive programming thing is because it is normally in programming languages, your different widgets have settings for things that accept text input, and for something like the clock, which should never have a user typing in it for any reason, the ability to type into it would just be disabled at the widget level. So, like, the fact that, like, that can happen is, like, what is going on here? Something very, very wrong is occurring. Well, I hope your daughter feels better, Spicy Dad. Thanks for the biddies. Welcome. It's a rookie mistake is a good way to put it, yeah. And it's one of those things that should be very easy to fix. It should literally just be like, oh, click on that, turn the setting back off. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what the opponent's deck is doing. It feels like maybe they're playing some kind of 8-rack style deck in Legacy. There's a good chance these Humility and Supreme Verdicts don't have text, I guess, so I guess I'll throw those back on top. And then, should my opponent play a creature that I want the Humility for, I can just decline to crack the fetch land. MTGO is programmed in .NET. Auntie's Snitch. Or rogue you control deals combat damage to a player. If Auntie's Snitch is in your graveyard, you may return it to your hand. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna draw that Humility. .NET, the premier game engine of our time. Yep. And I mean, like, I'm sure at this point, like, this is why whenever people talk about, like, when are they going to rewrite MTGO, Arena is the rewrite of MTGO. Like, MTGO at this point, I'm sure, is just so buried in technical debt that there's never going to happen without a from the ground up rewrite. And that's basically what Arena is, right? Like, it's a from the ground up rewrite that's an actual Magic video game. Correct, Studami. Oh no, Umezawa's Jurgit. One Jace Architect of Thought, please. Unity for 2000. To be fair, Moto is almost old enough to drive, or to vote. It's old enough to drive. It can almost vote. The itty bitty jitty committee. So I don't want to play energy field here because my opponent will just wasteland me, killing the energy field. So if I draw a rip, we'll play the energy field. There's a good chance that my opponent's mono black deck is stone cold dead to energy field plus rip, at least game one. In my land, it would have already come home drunk. You could argue that Moto comes home drunk every day. Yeah, they could have, like, Ratchet Bomb post board. What on God's green earth is that? Search your library for a goblin card, reveal it, and put it on top. Alright, you could have a 1/1. Apparently, the O2 bracket in the Legacy League today is the... Yay! We did it! We did it! Combo! I think there's a good chance this is a hard lock game one for us. So again, Rest in Peace plus Energy Field means we just don't take damage. Energy Field means we don't take damage, and Rest in Peace means Energy Field doesn't die because cards don't go to my graveyard. So, hopefully my opponent's memes cannot combat what we have going on. Liliana's ultimate. Oh, that's true. That's true. Liliana the Veil as her ultimate. That could definitely do it. Just waiting to draw Helm of Obedience now as a way to combo kill them. Sweet memes are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I wonder how long this is going to take to change. When you search MTGA download on Google, it says, did you mean MTGO download? No. No, Google. No, Google, I did not. Things I definitely did not mean. Navier, thanks for the 14 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Got a boot. Martin Luther King, thank you for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Google confirmed an Eternal Format aficionado. Opponent confirmed cold to rip energy field. Believe it or not, mono black stuff is not really on my sideboard plan. Did you not play Morrowind as a child, Oatrose? I feel like someday there's going to be a really good case study of sending our kids back to play a game like Morrowind. Morrowind's like super old school. Like that game is phenomenal. Just like the way you have to like pour through and like actually do the quests. Spent a lot of time playing Morrowind as a child. None of this. There's a compass at the top of your screen telling you exactly where to go nonsense. Man, I just couldn't get into Oblivion. Can anybody who's updated their arena, is this the correct version? 1174690879? Is this the latest? I guess we'll find out in a second once it installs. I wonder if it lists it on here. Yeah, that's the same for you. I'm going to keep this hand because my opponent's deck is just like mono discard spells. Quit Morrowind like 5 times before figuring out Boots of Blinding Spell. Boots of Blinding Speed, Dispel, Hover, and loving it. Which ROM hack are you playing, Isha? I played through Crystal Clear and really enjoyed that one. There is the last time I played Morrowind, Punchworthy, there's actually a team that there is a team in Pokemon. Okay, I'm gonna write that one down for later. There is, oh, that's rude. There's a team that put together, they updated Morrowind using the Oblivion engine, so you can, like, load Morrowind into the Oblivion engine, which is really sweet. So I'm gonna go next level here, and I'm gonna keep one of the energy fields in my hand, because maybe they won't name it. Yeah, it's called Morroblivion. You have to have the original. Morrowind files to load into it, but it gives you the better combat system from Oblivion with the Morrowind storyline. Yeah, I've never tried Open Morrowind. Is that mature at this point? I know that was a project they're working on for a while. That has the Open Morrowind project has a multiplayer add-on too, right? This is a long Cabal therapy. They're either opening the stream or trying to figure out what level we're on. The Cabal therapy versus Brainstorm levels run real deep. Yeah, they just went with level. They just decided to just like name the thing that I kept on the off chance that I didn't put both of them back. You can buy an Angrath avatar. That's fantastic. Gens 1 through 6. That's a lot of generations that I don't know. I feel like I should play one of the Pokemon games that has newer generation Pokemon in it, though. Because, like, these things keep popping up in Pokemon Go, and I just have no idea what they are. It's like, that's not a real Pokemon. You're not my real dad. Like, this isn't something from my childhood. Get out of here. I do have a Switch. I'm only 28, so yeah, Pokemon games were my childhood. I stopped at Crystal. Pokemon from generations 1 and 2 are very intertwined because they were almost supposed to be the same generation. Rycat, thank you for the very generous tier 3 resub. I finally hit the number of dollary dues I throw at you in a month. Push up, Bant Hero, please. Will do, Rycat. Thanks for the support. Does Morrowind stay the test in time? Going back to play Skyrim always feels bad, and I don't want to completely take off the rose-tinted glasses. The graphics are really bad. The biggest thing that's awkward with Morrowind is you'll realize how good the combat system is in Oblivion and Skyrim playing Morrowind. The combat system in Morrowind kind of sucks. We're in the O2 bracket, Burgle. We're in the O2 bracket. Do I remember my Magic Arena login? I think I do. Oh no! They introduced Clippy, chat. There's like stop telling me stuff. Oh no. The scary part is there's probably children in the audience that don't know who Clippy is. Darn kids. Mad Auntie. Yep. We are in the Lorwyn block bracket. Hey, listen. Yeah, and with that's one of the reasons why I liked Mar Oblivion Punchworthy. It's because Mar Oblivion gives you the combat system from Oblivion with pretty much all the good parts of Morrowind, it felt like. Yeah, Fable was another one that was really good. I liked that one a lot growing up. Alright, I believe my arena is updated. My opponents decided they don't want to play Magic with me anymore. Yay, we did the combo! Kingdom of Amalur. Never heard of that one. Is that a newer game? I'm writing these things down. Man, I really hope the Clippy thing in MTG Arena, like, pops up on your screen when, like, your Nexus opponent takes their 3rd turn in a row, and they're just like, I see you're not getting to play Magic today. Would you like to sort through your collection while you wait for your turn? Are you having trouble finding the concession button? Yeah, the Invitational happening this weekend can be nothing but good for Magic. I really hope that this weird duo standard format doesn't end up just being like a cluster of Esper control, mono white aggro, red aggro decks. I think it'll be really sad if the way the format ends up shaping up is for this event that it's just like a bunch of really narrow metagame field and otherwise like pretty diverse standard format. I wanna see, I hope they post, they're probably not gonna post the deck list until tomorrow. I really wish they'd post the deck list today though. What archetypes would I take? I have no idea. If I was playing, I would have practiced. I'm not playing, so I didn't practice. Humility is probably not very good against a counterbalance deck. I don't need Helm of Obedience for the time being. Actually, Energy Field's probably not very good in this matchup either, so I'm going to put one back and I'm going to pitch this other one to force. Counterbalance basically lets them counter most of my 1-mana spells, so I'd prefer that didn't happen. I bet you there will be 0 Nexus of Fate decks, yep. It just, on the surface, from a game theory perspective, the format looks like it takes a lot of the decision-making and agency away from the players. Marshall Sutcliffe described the format as high-level rock, paper, scissors in an article on the Mothership yesterday. And it's just like, why would you want to promote your biggest tournament ever as being like rock, paper? It's probably an honest description, but it seems like a terrible description for like what's gearing up to be your biggest tournament ever. Like, is that really what you want to sell like this is one of the best games with a ton of depth in it, and like we're gonna compare it to rock, paper, scissors for this tournament. Yeah, this is definitely a shuffle, right? I just need a land. Well, so like the big difference is like this format that the duo standard format isn't even like the Hearthstone format. If they had just copied Conquest from Hearthstone and like put some restrictions and like you can't have X overlapping cards between your decks, I think that would be better than what they did here. Because the Hearthstone Conquest format has player agency in it, in that there's strategy to how you pick your decks. And like, as you win with the deck, you can't play that deck again, so your opponent knows you have to pick from one of your remaining deck pools. So there's decisions within the players about how you pick your decks and in which order, based on as the match progresses. As opposed to the first deck is random, the second match you both have to play your other deck, etc., etc. I'm going to lead on the humility here, even though there's a good chance it doesn't have a lot of text in this matchup, because sometimes these decks do play, my opponent's deck does play Vendilion Clique and Monastery Mentor, so there is a chance that it's somewhat relevant, and if this eats a counterspell rather than one of my Jaces eating a counterspell or my Helm eating a counterspell, I'm kind of happy with that. This card could impact the game, and I care about it the least, so I want to lead on it to, like, say, hey, do you care about this? Do you want to counter it? Yeah, like the player of the year playoff that they did with Manfield and the eventual winner. I'm blanking on his name at the moment. That type of format that's similar to Conquest. I think that format's very reasonable. If they just jam Jace the Mind Sculptor here, I'm probably dead, because believe it or not, Jace the Mind Sculptor is better than Jace Architect of Thought. Luis Salvato. Yeah, that was the eventual winner. Unless we can punk them into a combo kill, we're probably dead here. I'm actually just going to go to the next game. This probably isn't a Gideon matchup. It's probably not a Canonist matchup. Do I want Disenchant? I guess they do have... I probably want this Disenchant. I'm going to Triple Force. Yeah, today is the MTGA update. I'm already downloaded and we're good to go. Sure. We're going to lead on Scalding Tarn here, because this is certainly fetching a basic island, and this one has the flexibility to fetch either of our basics down the line. The Basic Potato, checking in for the 10th month. Thanks for keeping me around. I appreciate it. Welcome back. The idea behind this deck is that Architect of Thought with Humility is technically a soft block. Accumulated knowledge, yep. Hippity. Have you figured out the donation amount to request specific sleeves be used? I've not. I should probably do that. I haven't looked up what these things actually cost. Which is probably something I should do. $1,000 gems. This is why I hate the this goes back to my one big complaint about Arena, which is that the economy isn't straightforward. Can someone tell me that in USD? What does 1,000 gems mean? How many dollars is that? Put a price on it. I don't care how many gems it costs. Give me USD. What's the price? How many dollary dues does it cost me to buy the cosmetic? $200 per dollar. Okay. I'm like blissfully ignorant of that because like this is my job. So like if I need gems, I buy them and then I just total it and write it off the tax at the end of the year. So it's just like, just spend whatever it costs basically. $200 per dollar. Okay, so 1,000 is $5. Wonder if they will give the competitors this weekend in case someone at Wizards of the Coast is watching, which I assume sometimes they are, it will be an incredible failure on your part if all of the decks the competitors playing this weekend are not using all of the cosmetic items. Every card in all of the competitors' decks that has an alternate art version should be alternate art for the Mythic Invitational. Every player needs to have sleeves. Every player should have a non-default avatar that you have to pay money for. It's such easy, low-hanging promotional fruit. And maybe they've already thought of that and they plan to do it. But I really hope they think of that. In other words, none of that. I don't know. Maybe some of that will happen. Maybe these are things they've thought about and they're going to be on the ball. I want to hope against hope that someone realized that, and that's why this update is happening today and the Invitational's tomorrow. It's such an easy way to promote their stuff. I mean, to be fair, we still don't even really know how to present a Pro Tour because they're still limited at it. That's my favorite thing. At least they realized the Mythic Championship for all Arena shouldn't involve any limited. At least we've gotten that far. Super glad. I don't know if Duo Standard's perfect, but at least it's not draft. That should be the tagline. Duo Standard. At least it's not limited. So we're super far behind at this point, but there is a non-zero chance that my opponent just doesn't have a way to deal with this Gideon post board and he might run the full distance. So we're gonna try and attack them 4 more times here. The biggest problem with limited is that the compelling parts of limited are the deck building aspects of it. And once you get past the deck building aspects, you have 3 hours of matches with these decks that don't generate compelling games of Magic a lot of the time. That's not to say they never generate compelling games of Magic, but a lot of times they don't. In my experience making Magic content, the most important thing about making Magic content is experience reproduction. So many players watch Magic content to be able to take what they're watching and play it themselves on Arena or at FNM or at a tournament. They're watching a stream to see Magic that they want to play at some point in the future, basically. And with Limited, you can't watch someone draft a Limited deck and learn how they play it because you can't draft that same deck as them. So the interesting part to Limited is watching them build the deck in like pick orders, because you can learn those pick orders and directly apply it. However, you can't really directly apply the gameplay portions of Limited because your deck's going to be different than what you're watching. That's the big disconnect, I feel like. Like the learning portion from Limited is the deck building and drafting portion, but that's only a quarter of the time that you're watching Limited. And like, obviously, let's just be aware of our biases. If you're watching this stream, you likely have a strong bias against Limited, and not everyone does, but you're more likely to dislike Limited watching this stream because we do all Constructed here, right? So there's a good chance that a lot of the people here love Constructed, and that's why they're here. Bias against Limited, checking in, yep. This deck felt like poop. I would recommend playing Miracles rather than trying to be cute like this. This deck felt like a really classic example of we've put cards that aren't actually good in our deck for the sake of playing to a synergy, and the synergy payoff isn't worth the risk of having a card that's just not very good in our deck. So yes, Jace, Architect of Thought, plus Humility technically locks their creatures out of attacking you, but yeah, it's just awkward, not very powerful. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's plenty of people here that like Limited and even like watching it, but I think if you're here, you're probably more likely to be a Constructed aficionado. And again, that's not to say everyone is that way, but I think it's fair to assume that most people are more likely to be in that. That's fair, Slag. And, like, that's the most important thing about a game like Magic, right? Is, like, having a format that you really enjoy. And, like, the last couple of standard formats were really bad. So I'm not surprised that there's people that, like, we've had a lot of my modern players be like, oh, I don't really like standard, but I dipped back into this standard format. When in reality, it's not that they didn't like standard, it's that they didn't like bad Magic formats, which isn't surprising, right? Like, people don't like bad Magic formats. Alright, anywho, video game time.